Gen Z might actually save us. The hopium is in the air, and I cannot lie, I'm violently sniffing it. Because for years we've been hearing the exact same narrative. Young people don't care about cars, the only thing they care about is technology. They don't want to own their own vehicles, they would rather just use rideshare. And honestly, I understand why people thought that. Because from an insider looking in, it looked like the car culture was on life support. Manual transmissions are becoming an endangered species. And basic performance cars now cost more than some houses did 20 years ago. Insurance prices are absolutely brutal, and fewer teenagers are rushing to a DMV on their 16th birthday compared to previous generations. So naturally, people are asking, is this the generation that kills car culture? And that would be an honest assumption, but the numbers tell a completely different story. According to Hegarty's 2024 Future of Driving survey, 60% of Gen Z respondents said that they want to own a classic car or collector car. And if that's not enough, 77% of Gen Z respondents said they would either love or like driving, and half said being behind the wheel gives them a feeling of freedom. So maybe the problem was never that Gen Z hates cars, maybe we just misunderstood them. Welcome to the Gen Z Enthusiast Hopium. Let's get into it. Chapter 1, the generation everyone counted out. Before we get too deep in the sauce here, let me make something really clear. By no means is this a Gen Z is better than everyone else video. I know Gen Z has its issues, I understand that. But every generation has incredible car enthusiasts, we all know. And if you're wondering if you are in Gen Z, if you're 14 to 29, you're in Gen Z. So at one point in time, it genuinely felt like a lot of older car enthusiasts believed car culture was going to disappear once they stopped turning wrenches. And honestly, I can't blame them at all, because looking at today's automotive world, it doesn't exactly scream golden age. The average new vehicle price is around $40,000. A teenager today isn't picking up a cheap Fox body Mustang or a $500 Civic, throwing on some questionable modifications, and just going. It's not gonna happen. And the barrier to becoming a car enthusiast has never been higher. Older generations usually found their cars through their dad's garage, their first car, their friends, local car meets, car magazines, or maybe an uncle who just knew everything. And honestly, it was pretty awesome to discover cars that way. That hands-on experience created generations of enthusiasts. But Gen Z grew up in a completely different world. A lot of younger enthusiasts didn't have a mechanic dad. They didn't grow up rebuilding engines with their family. So where did they find their car culture? Well, a glowing rectangle. For the first time in history, someone could become absolutely obsessed with cars without having a single car person in their real life. You could watch someone wrench on LS's or turbocharge something, and 6 months later, they're saving money for the minimum wage job for their first project car. And that's something previous generations never really had. But as you all know, watching someone build a car is completely different than actually building it. Everyone loves watching that 20-minute engine swap video until you have absolutely nothing done. Because nobody on TikTok shows the moment where you're just sitting on the garage floor thinking, did I just destroy my car? The internet can create enthusiasts, but the garage creates them. You don't truly become a car person until you've actually looked at face to face a stripped bolt. But then there are some things that you do until you finally fix something yourself and realize, wait, did I actually do that? And that's where Gen Z gets a little bit interesting, because more and more young people are taking that online passion and turning it into a real world build. Chapter 2, the return of the Jedi. The return of the affordable enthusiast. And to be honest, this is the part that gets me really excited, because the biggest reason Gen Z might save car culture isn't just because they like cars, it's because they brought back something that the industry desperately needed, the affordable enthusiast. Being a car enthusiast doesn't mean you need a 6-figure supercar. And to be honest, most of us can't even afford one anyway. We might as well just start a Buick LeSabre fan club. Because apparently nothing screams car enthusiast like showing up at Cars and Coffee in a beige 2003 Buick LeSabre with a 3800 V6 and questionable amount of horsepower. But to be honest, that's actually the point. Car culture was never built on expensive cars. It was built by regular people buying regular cars and turning them into something special. Previous generations had cheap Mustangs, affordable Camaros. It must be nice. Now, the cheap project car is becoming harder to find. That $2,000 Mustang GT, well, good luck finding one. And even though it has become harder to afford, Gen Z actually kind of adapted. They started looking for different cars like Miatas, Civics, BRZs, Toyota 86s, 350Zs, BMWs, older Mustangs. Cars that weren't necessarily expensive, but just have a crap ton of potential. A 19-year-old saving up for months to buy a $6,000 project car and spending every weekend learning how to work on it, that person might have more passion than someone who just bought a $100,000 sports car and never touched it. It's as special as you make it. Chapter 3, the biggest car community in history. I mean, back then, your experience in car culture was limited by one thing: your location, your zip code. If you lived somewhere where nobody even cared about cars, well, good luck finding some. Maybe you had one friend that was into cars, maybe you had a local Cars and Coffee. That would be pretty cool. But if you didn't, you were mostly on your own. People love saying the internet ruined everything, and for some things it did, but some things it did help. Think about how people discovered cars 30 years ago and how they discover cars now. A person can wake up one day and now discover a JDM build, a race car, an engine swap, a restoration, a drift car, a hypercar, all before breakfast. Just think about how crazy that is. A kid growing up in a small town can become obsessed with Japanese cars without ever seeing one in person. They can learn about all these things before they can even legally drive. You just simply need the curiosity to have it. The community did not disappear. I think it honestly multiplied. Like the JDM community, the off-road community, the drift community, the simulator racing community even, the detailing community, the EV performance community, which I have something against you. Chapter 4, the next generation of builders. So like I said, watching car content is easy, but building a car is not. But however, people do know that struggle of building a car is the initiation. If you really want to, you will get in that garage and you will learn. You're going to make mistakes, but they're gonna improve too. And if you do run into an issue, well, voila, you have the internet, you can look it up. Chapter 5, why Gen Z might actually save car culture. So I think they have the opportunity to, not because they are better than the previous generations, and not because older generations failed. I'm saying older generations did a very, very good job of what they did, but every generation builds on the one before it. Older generations built the foundation, I'm not gonna lie with that. They created communities, they passed down the knowledge, now it's Gen Z's time to actually show up for it. The future of car community is not going to look like how it did in 1999 or even previously, and that's okay. Maybe people do have Facebook group chats, but the reason people love cars has not changed. It's the freedom and creativity of it. Have they saved it yet? Absolutely not. Will they? I guess we'll see. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you in the next one on Torque Savvy. Peace.